Let's talk about the dark side of custom painting. And I mean the really dark side of custom painting. The fantastic dark side of custom painting. Preparation. And how we can get rid of old coatings and old designs on these carbon frames or carbon parts in general. So what do we have for options? You would say, paint stripper. Okay. And I say, never use paint stripper on carbon parts. And I mean never. The word with N and ever. And why do I say never? Because the primers and sometimes also the colors on these frames contain of epoxy. And the resin, which glues the carbon fibers together and holds them in place, contains also of epoxy. And what do you think happens when you apply a paint stripper which is able to remove an epoxy primer? Right, it is also able to harm the resin, and in the worst of all cases it causes a delamination of the carbon fiber and also a delamination of your carbon frame, and that's what you don't want to happen to your frame, and you will be when this happens to your frame. So what can we do instead? You would say, media blasting. Okay, but when you have a bad media blasting guy who uses a medium big as rock stones and a pressure which is able to send a rocket to the moon and back, he will fire away the first layer of carbon on your carbon frame, and that's what you don't want to happen to your frame. Be sure. Okay? I know there will be comments underneath my video who says, I use paint stripper, I use media blasting, I use sandblasting, all went well, my frame is in good condition. What do you say? I say that's not what I do to my clients' frames, and that's not what I recommend to you as my audience, because it's not safe. If you want to do it, do it. Okay? So what can we do instead? Nobody? I recommend sanding techniques. Wet sanding and dry sanding, do it by hand. Don't use any rotaries or orbital sanders if you are not a professional. These machines can sand in the carbon fiber. That's what you don't want to your frame. You can ruin your frame if you do so. Use your hand. You have to invest a lot of time. You need a lot of effort, but it's safe and you are able to remove all the color in a safe way, not ruin your frame. Okay? That's what I like to show you, hand sanding. I like to show you how to remove different colors on different frames. What we have here is a Centurion factory-like. We can see the carbon fibers through the design. That means there's a transparent primer on the frame, wet transfer decals, the screen printed decals, and overall a flat coating. Not so much material, easy to sand, easy to remove. I think I have to invest 2 to 3 hours to remove all. I have to remove also the primer because I have to make sure that I have a high quality paint job, and that means I have to remove all because I'm not sure that this primer sticks well on the frame. When I do a client frame, I have to remove all, so I can be sure my primer will stick well, my color will stick well. That's high quality for me. If you do your own frame, you can leave the primer if it's in good condition. I have to remove all, okay? This is also a factory frame, a Giant. Seems easy, but it isn't. Why isn't this frame easy? Because there's a lot of material on this frame. The first layer is a primer. If it's not a light primer like light gray or light white, there is also a white base coat underneath. Over the white base coat, the neon red or neon orange as you see it. 3 layers. The fourth layer is a clear coat over the neon. Next layer are the wet transfer decals. And the end layer is a flat clear coat. It's a lot of material, very thick, hard to remove, but we have to remove all, because the neon bleeds through all colors. That means if you want to paint it white, if you want to paint it yellow, if you want to paint it red, there's a high chance that the neon bleeds through all colors. So you have to remove it completely on all areas on this frame. You have to invest a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's hard to do, but you are able to do it, okay? I think I have to invest 7 to 8 hours. If you are a newbie, you have to invest 10 to 20 hours. It's a hard job, but if you want it, you can do it, okay? Now comes the frame which cause wet dreams. Not the wet dreams you think. I think of the wet dreams, crying out my eyes and shouting out loud and crying out loud that all dogs in the neighborhood start to bark. Because a client tried to paint his frame itself, and this is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you get. As Forrest Gump would say, I don't know what I get, I don't know how long it takes, I don't know what is underneath the clear coat. It's a box of surprising whatever. Maybe I need 2 hours, maybe I need 10 hours, maybe I need 20 hours. It's a rattle can paint job. I don't know how hard it is to remove all this rattle can stuff. I don't know what it's underneath the rattle cans. That's a nightmare, okay? But I have to do it. I have to invest a lot of time, and it's a surprising bag or grab bag. I think grab bag is the right word, okay? That's also something which causes tears in my eyes. The client tried to remove the color himself and he failed. It's not so bad, he did some work, but it's not finished. I have to remove a lot of color. This frame was completely black, flat black, and under the flat black was a red, under the red a white, a primer, a lot of material, a lot of time and effort needed in this track, but I will do it, and I have to sand all the material because I have to do a neon paint job, and when I do neon, same like the neon red, I have to remove all the red, primer it again, and then I can apply the neon. So I have to remove the complete stuff. If you want to do also neon or something like that, you have to remove all. If you want to do it flat black, you can leave it as it is. Do it flat, make sure that you have a smooth surface, and then you can paint flat black over this. You are done. If you want to do a light coating like white, you have to remove all the red because it bleeds through all the colors. These are bad colors. Red is a bad color. It bleeds through all other colors. Okay? So let's start to sand any frames, and I like to show you how I will sand these frames by hand. Let's talk about the material you need for sanding. You need different grade wet sanding paper. You need dry sanding paper. I have such a roll if you want to dry sand. And when dry sand, I highly recommend to wear a mask and to do it in a well ventilated room or to do it outside because there's a lot of toxic dust in the air. So wear such a mask, okay? You need a bucket of water when doing wet sanding. My favorite is pussy warm water, and you need some rubber gloves for protection. I will start with wet sanding with a grit of 320, and I use silicium carbide wet sanding paper. That's good to remove any color. Next step is 600 grit wet sanding paper, and the last step is 800 grit wet sanding paper. When I reach 800 grit, my frame is ready for any primer. So that's all. Very simple, you don't need much material, and let's start to sand the frame. Let's start with the grab bag, the box of chocolate, and I won't hope I find dark chocolate because I hate it so much. Dark chocolate. I hope for salted caramel, and I will use a towel so I won't get wet when doing wet sanding. And I use also an old cloth in my bucket of water to clean the frame during sanding. And I will use the wet sanding paper, of course. I fold it in half so I have grip on both sides, on the hands and also on the frame. And you should wear gloves. My hands look like twice as old as I am. Don't worry, but your hands are virgin and the paper will scratch all your skin from your hands. So wear gloves as the protection. And then it's a game of rubbing the frame. So let's check what we can find underneath this rattle can paint job. It's a lot of material. And I think I have to spend 10 to 15 minutes to show you what's underneath this rattle can paint job. Oh, there's an old one. Check this. There's an old paint job underneath. And it looks like as it's pure carbon. No, it's not. It's kind of lead black, I think. Yes, it was a flat original paint job with black decals. Maybe you can see it. So what I have to do is I have to remove all the white, and it seems that this is salted caramel. But what I have to do is sanding, and that takes 2 hours, 3 hours, I don't know. And all I do is rubbing the frame on all areas with my hand, the flat hand on the frame, so we will have a lot of surface, the complete surface of the paper. And then rub it. I will come back to you in 10 minutes and show you what I've done in 10 minutes of sanding. 10 minutes later. That's what I've done in 10 minutes. And yeah, looks easy, but it isn't. The tubes are easy, but the hardcore parts are these parts. And the parts in between the cable entries and somewhere near the bottom bracket. These are the hardest parts. But I will do some more tube sanding, and let's see what I can do in 1 hour. One hour later. What have you done during the last hour? I have sanded this frame and nearly half the frame is done, but it turns in bitter dark chocolate because the color is a 1K color and it's soft like a chewing gum, and it's more than peeling off the color than sanding. That takes extra time. I have to invest 1 or 2 more hours in this frame before I can peel off all the chewing gum, and that's what I do during the next 2 hours, sanding this frame. Hey, you're still watching my video. That's good for you, because I like to show you another nice trick how to remove color from carbon frames. And to do that, I use these stainless steel blades. And I scratch off the color from the frame, but you have a high risk to cut deep in the carbon fiber if you have no practice. So practice on smaller parts like the seed stay or the stem or what you have ever at home. And to scratch off the color, grab the blade with 2 hands, lay it flat on the frame and then scratch. Snow is falling all around me. It's a good idea to wear safety glasses when scratching off the color, because there are little chips which can hurt your eyes. And if you're an idiot like I am, it's also a good idea to wear safety gloves. You can cut easy in your hands or in your thumbs, and when you cut your thumb, you can't give me a thumb up, and I like thumbs up. So wear safety gloves. I'm an idiot, so what? Yeah, there are a lot of snowflakes in my face. So it's a good idea to wear some safety glasses and safety gloves, as I tell you, if you don't want to look like an idiot or Santa Claus on Christmas. So do what I tell you, wear the safety gear, okay?
The next technique I like to show you is dry sanding. It's mostly the same like wet sanding, but you can remove much more color. But it causes a lot of toxic dust, which is not so good, so you have to wear a mask. And you can easily sand into the carbon fiber. Don't you understand what I'm talking about? I talk about dry sanding.
Oh. The next technique I like to show you is dry sanding. It's mostly the same like wet sanding. You can remove a lot of color, but it causes toxic dust, so I highly recommend to wear such a protection mask. And when you have, do it in a ventilated room. And you can easily sand into the carbon fiber. When the dust turns into black, you are too deep, you are sanding into the carbon fiber. Your dust must be gray if you sand such a light coating like white. And if you have a black coating, dust is also black, but you have to be careful not to remove the carbon fibers, okay? If your dust turns black, you sand too deep into the carbon fiber, so be careful. And wear a protection mask.
Three hours and 58 minutes later.
This frame is FFAF. That's the last piece of white chocolate I have to beat, and I beat it. Ah! Done. Now I'm able to paint this frame in a high quality paint job. Where are the strippers? I mean the guys doing stripping. Are you a stripper? I read a comment of you where you mentioned you are doing stripping on tubes, using such pudding to remove any color. Are you a stripper? Okay, no more jokes about stripping and also no more jokes about protection gear, because this is really serious stuff. It's a paint stripper and you can use it only if you run a business and if you are a professional. But sometimes you get it online, and if you have this, make sure you buy this. Also, if you look like an idiot, because you are much bigger idiot if you don't wear protection gear. So buy yourself safety gloves and safety goggles. And I like to show you how to use the paint stripper on cycle parts, but only on the aluminum parts of the S-Works Epic. I like to remove the blue color. Never do it on carbon parts, as I told you, okay? This paint stripper contains acid, so never touch it with your bare fingers. Never rub it in your eyes, never use it on plastic tables or any plastic parts, and wear protection gear. I use such cling foil, and I will wrap the part in the cling foil after I have applied this paint stripper. Make sure you have removed also the bearings, because the rubber and the plastic parts of the bearings will be destroyed by this paint stripper. So only bare aluminum parts, okay? So put on as much as possible of this paint stripper. It's like a jelly, so it sticks good on the part. And then wrap it in the cling foil. I will put it in my oven by 50 degrees Celsius. We have Celsius in Germany, so 50 degrees Celsius. And after 1 hour, I like to show you what happened to this cycle part and the color. In the meantime, I will send the Centurion, and it's much easier to do than the White Nightmare. And I bet I can erase the white Downtube logo in less than 1 minute. So challenge accepted. I have the wet sanding paper, and then let's start. Done. 1 minute, 20 seconds are lost, but still not bad. And you have seen this is much easier than a big White Nightmare with a little can paint job. It's much less than material than on the S-Works, and the thin material is easy to remove because I have to remove only a thin layer of flat clear coat and the red transferred decals. So I will send the rest of the Centurion same way as I did the S-Works, wet sanding, and when this frame's done, I like to show you the parts with the paint stripper on. I need a minute, I have to breathe, and then I will do this frame, and then I like to show you the parts with the paint stripper, okay? Let's check the parts with the paint stripper on. And look at this. The paint stripper lifted 90% of the color. All went well. It's not 100% perfect. I have to do a second try on some areas of the insides of these parts, but 90% of the color are off. And it's much easier than sanding the frame, as you might see. But keep in mind, this is a bad chemical and it's not what you should use very often. And it produces also a lot of toxic waste, and that's not good for the environment, but it's a fast and easy way to remove color. I have to paint on some more paint stripper on these areas which are not lifted, and then I will come back to you with stripped aluminum parts. The aluminum parts of the S-Works Epic are perfect stripped, and there's another advantage of the paint stripper. I told you it contains acid, so these parts are also etched, and that's the perfect preparation for the primer. There's no more oxidation on the aluminum, so I can start direct with the primer and the paint job on these parts. And that's all I can tell you about stripping carbon frames and also some aluminum parts. It's no magic, as you have seen. I have to do 2 more frames, but I will do them myself. But stay tuned, my next Q&A and my next video will be about primers, especially carbon primers, and how to prepare these frames for a high quality paint job. So make sure you have subscribed if you don't want to miss this video. Thanks for watching and see you in one of my next videos.